Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Great. How are you, Harmony? I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Well, thank you, everyone, so much for joining. Today, we're going to talk all about how to harness the power of Descript with your team. So we're going to be focusing a lot on what you can do as a team with Descript, how you can utilize collaboration features and beyond. But before we get started, I would love to introduce my amazing co-host, Ashley. Ashley, do you want to give folks a little background on yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Harmony. My name's Ashley. I'm pretty new to the Descript team. I joined about 3 months ago, so super excited to be here. I sit with Harmony on the sales and success side of things, so I'm happy to talk all things collaboration, teams, and really excited for this.
Fantastic. And my name's Harmony. I'm a customer success manager and product specialist here at Descript, and super excited to go over the basics with everyone today and answer any questions you have along the way. Now, before we dive in and start pulling up Descript, just a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to share my screen, and here's what you can expect from today. We're going to talk a bit about just kind of how you set up your drive, set it up for success for your team. We're going to talk about how to import and transcribe. You can even record directly into Descript. We're going to talk about scenes. We have a really great stock media library built into the interface, how to go in and out of all of our various modes from editing, writing, correcting, and then working with both the script, timeline, and canvas. Talk about templates, and then lastly, how to get your material out of Descript and publish and make that content really shine. We're also if for any reason you have any issues with the stream along the way, go ahead and refresh your browser, and go ahead and use the Ask a Question section if you're viewing in Crowdcast. Our fantastic colleague Marcelo is in there answering questions, so if you've got any for us, please drop them in there. And then for any help along the way, we have a ton of great resources on help.descript.com. Bunch of videos, help articles, and then we'd love to have you join our Discord community. A lot of great, just great people in there asking questions, educating one another. And then last up, we would love to offer a complimentary month of Descript Pro for everyone here. So at checkout, use this code collab30 and you'll have a free month of Pro on us. Let's see here. Ashley, what did I miss? Anything else?
I think you about covered it all, Harmony. Marcelo so kindly mentioned that he'll be holding a Discord office hours as well after this too. So if you have any additional questions that we didn't answer, feel free to hop in there.
Outstanding. Awesome. And for anyone that's brand new to Descript, before I jump the gun here, just going to give a quick overview. So in a nutshell, Ashley, I usually explain Descript as a collaborative audio and video editor that works a lot like a Google Doc. And, folks can benefit from that similarity with Google Docs and that you can collaborate on projects together. You can comment. Anything else you'd add in terms of like what people need to know now before we dive into the interface?
I think you just about covered it. I mean, I know me personally, I don't have a professional video editing background. I've had my time with timeline tools and traditional video editors, and so it's a little difficult. And so when I came across Descript, I found it super easy to use and edit. So hopefully you all will find that as well today.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me personally, my background's in e-learning, and I really wish I had had something like Descript like 10 years ago because it's transcribing everything by hand. And the fact that Descript can do that automatically for you, just like it's going to save you so much time. So looking forward to showing folks around. Very cool. So let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So we're looking at the Descript interface here. So if you're brand new, you've just logged in, this is where you land. And Ashley, do you want to maybe just kind of explain what folks are seeing here?
Certainly, yeah. So your Drive view is going to be your main view for all of your projects and organizations there. So it's really helpful to keep, your different projects organized, either individually or in folders that you see here. And there's sort of three sections that you need to know about. There's going to be the project panel right in the very center. There's the header on the top, and then the sidebar on the left-hand side. So quickly going through those, just as a walkthrough, we'll see in the top left-hand corner, we have our Descript team drive. Here's where you can toggle in between all of the drives that you have. So we see here that Harmony is on a bunch of drives. She has her own drive, her free drive, many drives. So you can sort of toggle between those very easily there. And then right next to that, we also have the ability to add members really quickly. So invite via email. If we want them to be a basic member or an editor, we can add them there.
Right.
And
maybe we could explain real quick. So the nice thing is that if you're working on a team, you can add what we call editors. And these are folks that can upload, transcribe, record, all the things. Those are your paid seats. And then your basic users are free users, and they can view, listen, and comment on projects, but they can't edit stuff that gets created by other editors. So that's just an important thing to distinguish there.
Definitely. Thank you, Harmony.
Yeah.
So yeah, we also have our recent projects here at the top. So it's going to be just that, recent projects, either ours or if they're shared with us. We'll see that there. Quick recordings will be all of the recordings that we've made with the Descript quick recorder. So they'll all pop up there. We have shared projects. So similarly, all projects that our team members have shared with us that we would collaborate on. We have our downloaded projects in the cloud. And then if we come to the voices tab, those are going to be all of the overdub voices that we've created, either our own, or if our colleagues so kindly shared their voices with us, we'll be able to access them here.
And so I'm going to pause here because people might be like, voices, what is this? So I love kind of explaining Descript in three pillars. One is this ability to edit audio and video like a Word document. The second one being overdub. We have a lot of really great built-in AI tools that are going to speed up your process. And so overdub is a text-to-speech tool. So you can create a voice with as little as 10 minutes of training. And then when and if things need updating or even created from scratch, you can do all of this with an overdub voice. Cool. And then templates, Ash, what do you have to say about templates here?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different ways you can use templates. We'll go more in depth in them later and show you an example. But these are especially helpful if you're recreating projects. Let's say you want to bring your company logo in, you want to bring captions in a certain style every time. Instead of having to do that over and over, you can simply create a template and use that template, share it across your team, and everyone will have access to use it too.
Absolutely. Templates are such a great way. Like, Ashley and I were just, talking about starting a podcast ourselves. And I created a template, ran it by her really quick. And then the nice thing is that it's shared between the two of us. She was able to take a look at it, and we're now on our way to start using it. And then the last thing here is what we call workspaces. So this really comes into play, especially with teams. So we have our drive that we're in, right? And then we have these workspaces. Ashley, can you give us the lowdown on workspaces here?
Yeah, so we can see here that we have two separate workspaces here. So we have our private workspace to begin. So these are going to contain all the projects that are private just to yourself. So maybe you're working on a first draft of something, and you don't want to quite share it out with your team just yet. You can set it to private, and you'll have all of those there. And then when you're ready to share with your team, want to collaborate, you can access them in your overall workspace, your public workspace, and everyone on your drive will be able to see them, access, and so on.
Absolutely.
Did I miss anything
Yeah.
there, Harmony?
No, you hit it right on. And I think like the thing for the Drive workspace, especially if you're brand new to Descript and you're getting the account set up and you're about to onboard some new folks to the account, I would say first and foremost, set up some folders that are going to be most conducive to the way that you generally work and collaborate with other team members. So if even if it's just a folder for each person that's going to be on the account, or a folder for different video projects, or one for different names of podcasts, set those up in advance and then get your colleagues in so they know like which spaces to be working from. Outstanding. So for today, I know which folder we want to be working from. This is we're gonna use the pet corner with Ashley and Harmony. I'm gonna go into this folder and we're gonna create what we call a new project. Think of a project as like sort of a blank canvas where we're going to either import or you can even record directly in. But we're gonna create a brand new blank project. And Ashley, you want to kind of just talk us through like the process of importing and where I go from here?
Totally, yeah. So, as Harmony said, when you first open up a new project, this is what you'll see. You have a couple of options to begin. So, we'll see Harmony is titling our project first and foremost. But to start, we can either choose a file to transcribe. So we can choose something from our desktop. We can even drag and drop it in, which is what I find the most easy. Bring them all in at once. We also can start recording directly in the application itself. So if we want to do that, we'll come up to the little circle at the top bar. And here we'll be able to record, if we want to do audio only for an audio only podcast or a voiceover, we can even, record our camera. And then if we want to record our screen, this is especially helpful if we have maybe slides going on in the background and we want to click through them as we're talking, we can do that as well.
Awesome. So we've got some video that we recorded the other day in one of our favorite tools, Squadcast. I'm gonna go ahead and pull those two files in. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting both files at once. So I've got a file for myself and a file for Ashley, and I'm just dragging them right on in here into this script area. And that's going to kick off the transcription process. Ashley, do you want to talk us through these prompts here?
Yes, certainly. So, in addition to English, we also transcribe in a handful of other languages as well. So, if you have, video footage of someone speaking French or German, we'll select that up front, and so they'll know how to transcribe correctly. So we'll go ahead and click transcribe since ours is in English.
Awesome.
And then the screen will pop up here. And so we'll be able to label each speaker. And this will help us denote and see in the transcript that'll pop up here in just a second who is speaking when. So Harmony's going to go ahead and label those there.
Awesome. And then the last thing I'd say that's super important is make sure you got this checked off. So in this case, we recorded in Squadcast, which allowed us to record a side for each speaker. Now, if you have a single file, let's say from Zoom, where you have multiple speakers, you could upload that and then just select, I have two speakers, and then you'll be able to go through and identify those voices. But what this is going to do by combining into a multi-track sequence is it's going to pair these two files. And you'll notice that when we say done here, we have a single script now that we can start editing from. Pretty sweet. Awesome. So from here, generally, I usually like to start making some really rough edits. I'm going to just play this really quick so folks can kind of see the real magic of Descript. So text-based editing, I'm going to play this. How about from here? Amazing. So Ashley, tell me about the pets in your life.
Yeah, so I have 3 pets right now.
Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of a few things. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to actually use my strike feature. I've got a repeated word here. Get rid of that. And the nice thing is that when you use the strike feature, let's say, Ashley and I were going through, we're making edits together. Ashley will be able to see the edits I'm making right here in the script. And if I'm ignoring it, she'll be able to see, oh, okay, we're tracking each other's editorial decisions as we go through and make edits. So let's take a listen.
Pets.
So Ashley, tell me about the pets in your life.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Having a little bit of a playback issue, so I'm going to go ahead and reload real quick. But the nice thing is that as I go through, make changes to the text, it's going to make changes to that underlying audio and video, which is really magical. Just going to wait for this to finish, and we'll be on our way. All right. It wouldn't be a real, demo if we didn't hit a few little glitches, right? Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to just get rid of that text. All right.
Go. Excited to be here, Harmony. Love pets. So I have 3 pets right now.
Cool. So it's as simple as that. Highlight the text that you want to get rid of, hit delete or ignore it, and that will remove that underlying audio and video. Amazing. Ashley, do you want to talk a little bit about, so we're going through the script here, and this is where we make most of our edits from. There's some other surface areas here that we're seeing. Can you maybe talk us through like Canvas timeline and what we're seeing over here on the left?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different elements. So we have our traditional timeline down here at the bottom. There's a couple of different ways that you can use the timeline. Something that just sort of jumps out to me when I first see them is the color green. So if we zoom out a little bit in the timeline, we'll see that those colors correspond with who's speaking when. So you can easily navigate the video through the timeline as well. And then we have our canvas, as Harmony mentioned, that is going to be the visual layer that we see. So we can easily manipulate each layer. We have my layer, Harmony's layer in the background as well. So we can do some edits there as needed as well. And then we have our scene cards all the way on the far left here, which we'll go through in a second. But here's where we can see each of the individual scenes.
Awesome. So let's go through and make some edits here. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that edit there that I just did. Cool. So I got that back. Awesome. So before I start making any major edits, I see that like we were chatting a little bit before we started recording. So I'll highlight that, hit delete, get rid of that. Okay, the video starts here. Welcome to Pet Corner. I actually created a highlight here that I didn't mean to, so I'm going to get rid of that. We'll talk about highlights in a moment here. Cool, clear highlight. The other thing that you can do too when going through and making your initial edits, I like to go up to the magic menu here, this star menu, and start removing filler words. I use this all the time, and in our recording, I brought it in and realized, oh my gosh, I say and way too much. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those filler words. And what Descript's going to do is it's automatically going to detect where all of those pesky filler words are, and we can literally get rid of all of them. If you don't want to get rid of every single one, you can click on this drop down and you can pick and choose which filler words you want to get rid of. Ashley, do you have a couple of filler words that you kind of, you like use often?
Oh man, I say and a whole bunch. I also say like a lot as well.
Got it. So we'll go ahead and are definitely my repeat offenders and repeated words too. So let's get rid of those. And we'll notice that now we have a new list of filtered results over here on the right. I'm going to use my best practice here and choose ignore, because if I want to bring one of these back in, I'll be able to go into the timeline and peel that back or unignore. So I'm going to hit apply all. And that's ignored 48. Okay, that's a lot. So we can take a listen here just to kind of see how it's sounding.
I have a bird named Blue Note. The cat lives with my partner's parents, actually. So she lives separately. And then
Nice. So it just skips right over that in the playback. And the nice thing is that once you've gone through and essentially kind of gotten a content lock, you can go to the very end and make sure we're good to go. I'm going to use my favorite keyboard shortcut. It's Command K or Control K, depending if you're on Mac or Windows, and that'll bring up the conductor. And this is like basically how you tell Descript what you want to do. So if you let's say I want to remove all ignored text, so just type in the thing that you want to do, and then you can just remove all ignored text at the very end once you've got your edit down. But there's a couple of things I want to keep doing as well. Ashley, there's a few other things in the magic menu I usually like to rely on. Do you want to maybe talk through a few others here?
Certainly, yes. So shortening word gaps is a little similar to removing filler words. It's especially great if you're doing a rough take, and let's say that you're thinking about what you're going to say and you have long pauses in between your words. What you can do is shorten those pauses to however long you want. So up in the top, we see 1 second or more. So this is going to contain all the pauses that were a second long or more. And we can come down to the shorten and shorten those down to maybe half a second, 0.8 seconds, or less. So
Awesome.
if we hit apply to all, it'll automatically shorten those word gaps.
Very cool. Yes. So if you're working with your team and you have, let's say, a bunch of Zoom calls or customer interviews or anything that you want to bring in, bring it in just like you did, like we did earlier. You'll be able to start editing right away, remove those filler words, remove those word gaps, and just tightening up the content by getting rid of those filler words and those gaps. I think there's one more thing that we wanted to show folks in here too, Ashley. That what do you generally use the search for?
Yeah, I use the search a lot for when I have a long piece of content I'm working with. So, an hour or 2 hours, and I'm trying to find a specific word in the script itself. So, as Harmony just did here, say I wanted to see every time I mentioned the word dog, which is a lot more than I thought, 14 times. We can just type that in, and on the right-hand side, we'll see all of those instances. And if we click on each of those, we can quickly audition each of those times where we mentioned the word dog.
Let's see. What is that?
Getting when you get a dog for the first time, you're like, oh.
Cool. I love this too because if especially for teams that might have thinking of like user research teams or even just folks that are curating customer interviews, if you're trying to find that like specific like magic moment that you want to take that nugget of information and share it out really quickly with your team. The thing that I love doing is, let's say I want to take this paragraph that Ashley has right here, can highlight this. And I'm gonna highlight this. I'll use Violet, and if Ashley was going through and maybe pulling selects as well, she might. Let's see. I'm gonna highlight this, and we're gonna do mint. I love highlights for pulling out these special moments that we might want to repurpose later on. So if we're going through our first episode, we know, okay, Ashley highlights are the mint color and mine are purple, and then we know we can share those out at a later time. That's actually one other thing we can actually show now from the magic menu. So go to the star. So I've created a few of those highlights, and from here we can choose all highlights, or if we just want to grab one of either the mint or the violet highlights. In this case, I'll grab both, and then I'm going to go over to our composition menu, and I'm going to have Ashley explain what the sort of the meaning of compositions really quickly, but first I just want to pull in those highlights so you can see how easy this is. I'm going to right click, paste, and then voila, we've got those two highlights that we extracted. But hopefully this is a good segue to talk a little bit about project structure and how you can keep things organized. So Ashley, you don't want to talk us through compositions, and then maybe we can segue over to the files as well.
Certainly, yes. Yeah, that highlight feature is honestly one of my personal favorites. It's really great, as you said, for creating shorter form content or short clips, selects, what have you. But in terms of composition, I like to think about them as sort of different versions of the project. So if the entire project was like a notebook, creating a composition would be like turning to a new blank page. So they're really helpful for that short form content. If you want a new space to jot down some ideas, get a sense of timing, create highlight reels, it's especially useful for that. So you don't have to create a brand new project and have a bunch of them cluttering up your drive. So I love compositions personally.
Absolutely. And the cool thing too is that, if you've got a ton of interviews, you could also, create a folder in here and, this might be, um, you know, keep them organized within the context of the project. You can pull all of that in and then, sort by different composition that you're working in. And that's where the search really comes in handy. So if you have, multiple videos in the same project, you can use that search. And the nice thing is that you can search across all compositions or just a single one. So it'll pull out every single time that keyword comes up. Awesome. And then we also have up here in the top menu, there's a bunch going on up here, but let's maybe start with the media section. Ashley, do you want to talk us through this right here?
Yeah. So there's a couple of tabs at the top, as we see here. So the files tab that Harmony is on currently is going to contain all of our project files. So in addition to our two video layers, if we had music we wanted to bring in, our company logo, any photos, any additional videos, they'll all live here.
Mhm.
So all in one accessible place.
Yeah.
And then we can even search through them as well. And if we wanted to bring in new footage, stock media footage, we have that as well. So if you come over to the videos tab, we have a bunch of videos to choose from. So let's just say we wanted to search a video of maybe a dog. We have a ton of options here. So we can easily bring this in as we create scenes later on. Yes, we can drag them over the video, bring them in the background. Lots of different options there. We also have GIFs as well. Cute little GIFs that we can bring over.
Continuing with the dog theme. I love it.
Yeah. Images as well. And then audio too. So if we want to bring in, surprised there's no dog music. I'm
I know. Come on.
a little
Okay.
disappointed there.
So, and the nice thing too with like the music and the sound effects, you just enter a keyword and then you can go through and audition, each of them, listen back, wait until you find the perfect one, and then just select it and it will get dropped into your video here. So let's see. It looks like, oh, there we go. So this is actually a good opportunity now to, we have a couple layers here in the canvas, and we'll see that represented also down here in the timeline. So one thing I usually like to do when I'm working with multiple layers, you'll see this option to show all layers here. Otherwise, it will just show the selected layer that you're working on. So I might, if I want to, I can add in some captions here. Having a hard time seeing them, so I'm going to add a little bit of a background so we got a contrast here. Cool. Awesome. So now we've got our B-roll that we've laid down here, and then our captions as well, and then we'll still have Ashley's voiceover in the background. So if we take a listen here, my dad had a bunch of German shepherds growing up. He claims that. Okay, well, that was actually me talking. But at any rate, yeah, you can just layer in different elements. And the nice thing is that over in the canvas, you can move things forward and back. So if you have something that needs to be sent to the back or the forward, it works a lot like, Photoshop in the sense that you can work with your layers from here. Awesome. Well, so we've talked a little bit about, we pulled in our material, we've transcribed it, we've added our speaker labels. We've talked about working in the script, making edits from here. I'm going to go back to that initial composition that we were working in. Talked a little bit about the timeline. We'll get into that a bit more. But let's see here. Ashley, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about, like, now that we've gotten our material in, what's the best way for us to like collaborate together? If let's say, I'm working on this initial rough edit and you're working in another, like, how what's the best way to set us up for success?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing I do is I share the project with whoever might want to view or edit it. You can do that by coming up to the right-hand corner, project access, and you can type in the email address of anyone that you either want to add as an editor or a basic member to view your project. And what this will do is it'll send them a little email invite, and they'll just click that and open the project directly. Or alternatively, you can also click the copy link and just send it to them in a message as well.
Standing. Great. So if I'm going to go ahead and invite you here into this project, awesome. And the nice thing is that, yeah, to your point, you can give folks edit or comment only access. I'm gonna leave you with edit access, but let's say for teams that might be working with external stakeholders, maybe you just want them to do a quick review and they don't necessarily need to edit. You can give them that comment only access, and it'll just allow them to kind of like have a read only experience and leave comments. And one thing I love is that, like, once Ashley, like, gets into the project, I can even do things like, highlight specific, sections and use the comment option here. So I could tag in Ashley here, say, like, "Should we add an image?" And then the cool thing is that Ashley will get an email notification saying, "Hey, Harmony mentioned you in this project." Then Ashley will be able to pop in and respond just like you would in a Google Doc. And Ashley, I think we even have a Slack integration, right? So that you can get notifications right in there.
Yeah, we certainly do. That's super helpful. As you mentioned, Harmony, when you have a bunch of comments on the side there and we click on them, it'll bring us to that edit point. Also, really useful is the version history, I find.
Mm,
So if you have a bunch of people collaborating on a project, and maybe there's an edit that we want to bring back, we can go through there just like a Google Doc, and restore that version previously.
nice. Yeah, so you can always go and view, and I think by right clicking, yeah, you'll then be able to restore that version. One important thing to note is when restoring a revision, it's restoring the entire project. So it's not on the composition level; it's on the full project level. Well, another thing I really love for teams too is that, let's say if I'm working through this initial edit, I might go ahead and go into my composition list again, and I can literally just like duplicate this. So this will create a second copy, and this could be an edit that Ashley's working on. Maybe I'm going to be on leave for a couple of weeks, and you can copy it, and then we could have two different versions if we want. Maybe Ashley is doing a 30-second version, and then mine is like the full version, or vice versa. So it's really easy to just go in and duplicate, create a shortened or a longer version. Very cool. Um, Ashley, one other thing too, since we're in the script, maybe I wanted to mention a couple things related to transcription. There's obviously, like, in terms of the transcription that you're getting, it's AI transcription, so it's pretty good, but it's not always 100%. Is that accurate, Ashley?
Yeah, yeah, pretty accurate.
Okay. So there's
Yeah.
some things you can do to get that, 90-95% accuracy closer to 100. One of those things is using the transcription glossary. Ashley, do you want to maybe walk folks through what this can do for folks?
Certainly, yeah. So any word you add here will essentially, once you add it in, the AI will know to transcribe it correctly. So you'll want to add in any words here, maybe specific to your organization or words that aren't common to the English dictionary. So we'll see that Harmony added her last name here, script, not a common English word, toxin. So anything that's not transcribing correctly, you notice the spelling's a little funky, you can add it in here, and the next time that you bring a file in, it will transcribe correctly. So
Exactly.
it's great for that.
Even if it's just names of people on your team, that can be really helpful. And the nice thing is that once it's added here, it's shared across the entire drive, so you're kind of one and done.
Certainly, especially if you're, part of maybe like a healthcare organization, lots of
Mm,
acronyms there, or teams that use lots of acronyms. It's great for that too.
absolutely. So yeah, definitely utilize the transcription glossary. Um, and then while we're on that topic, you can also go in and make corrections to specific words so that, if it didn't quite get it right, you can highlight a range of text and you'll get this option to correct. So I do this a lot with names, and kind of go through and spot check and get everything as close to 100% accuracy as possible. But hey, look, it actually did pretty good with Dachshund Chihuahua. But if it hadn't, I'd highlight it, correct, and then put in the proper spelling. Awesome. There's a couple other things that you can do in addition to using the correct mode. So, Ashley, do you want to talk us through the options here going into write, overdub, and correct mode?
Certainly, yeah. So pretty straightforward. Everything in correct mode. Whenever you go into that mode, any word that you click will be a word that you can edit. So instead of having to, highlight and click correct, you can just simply click on the word and make the edit really quickly.
Awesome. Sorry if Chloe spelled with a C. Is it with a C or a K?
It is with a C.
Oh,
So
okay, so I got it
yeah.
right. So I'll correct it again. I'll correct it back. So,
Great. Awesome. And so Overdub is our voice cloning tool, as Harmony mentioned earlier. So, if we, want to replace a certain piece of media with an overdub voice, let's say we went through our entire podcast and I changed my dog's name from Chloe to Kim or something. I could simply just choose that and overdub it with my voice. So instead of, having to re-record the entire thing or record into the script itself, I could simply just correct it with my overdub or voice clone voice.
absolutely. And there's actually some cool development here too. While you can overdub it, you can also just like record right over it as well. So you'll see that option you replace with and either overdub or just simply record over it. Um, I noticed that when we, highlighted a word and tried to overdub, we got this prompt saying, you need to assign a voice. So there's a great session specifically on overdub only and how to create a custom voice and utilize stock voices as well. But in order to overdub something, you'll just want to make sure that you have the correct overdub voice selected. So we click on the speaker label. I could go into my overdub voice or stock voices and then overdub in that specific voice that I want to use. Very cool. And the last thing, we didn't talk a little bit about writing. So the thing that I love using writing for is I use this to basically replace Google Docs. I'll often use this to just write out. I'll go to a blank composition here. And let's just go here and start writing. I'll write out like an entire intro to with. And the nice thing too is that see it done in the timeline, it's going to guesstimate around how long how long your intro or outro is. And then from here, you can either record, use this kind of like a teleprompter, or you can, bring in a recording of your script either way. But it's a nice way of just using it simply as a writing tool. Awesome. I think I saw there was a question around is there a way to move projects around into different folders? Did I see that right? We could bring that up on the screen. Oh, awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say we've created this episode and I might have like left it in the wrong workspace or the wrong folder. So there's a couple ways we can move it around. One is just simply going up to the Descript logo, file, and then move project. Right? So I can say move project, and then I can either put it in a completely different drive or a different folder. So I might move it into my personal drive. I'll put it in my workspace and then the folder that I want it to be in. I can also, if we zoom out one view, go back to this view here, I could take this and click on the three dots and then move to, and then designate the folder or workspace I want it to be in. Cool. Hopefully that answered that question there. But let's go ahead and pop back into our rough edit here. Cool. All right. Ashley, should we get into like we talked about like editing things down, maybe we could get into how to add scenes and start applying some stock media. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, awesome.
So the way that I think about scenes is they really allow you to cut up your video or your composition into different segments into a way where you can add visual elements like title or stock media like we're about to do, even sound very easily. So basically, I always add a scene whenever I want to put a visual over something. I find that's the easiest way to think about that. So as we see Harmony doing here, the way that we would create a scene is by putting a backslash in the beginning of the scene and then a backslash at the end of the scene.
Nice.
And so we've created a whole bunch of different scenes here. So coming into our stock media library, if we want to look up a cat, oh,
Yeah,
I
no
love
problem.
this, and we could drag it over the text or the scene card as well. We could do,
Nice.
and it will pop up in just a second here.
Very cool. And the nice thing is that as it's uploading, I can go right back up to the media tab and keep searching. So I know I want to pull in something of a cat, and we'll do a dog as well. Let's see here. Okay. Love a corgi. Okay. And then you'll notice that now over here on the left too, the scene card is indicating that it's showing that specific B-roll that we pulled in. So we'll see that there as well. Cool. So let's cool. Great. Getting a little bit of a lag on my end, but at any rate, that's how you would just simply pull in that stock
So
media.
yeah,
There we
I
go.
have a dog named Chloe and I have a bird named Blue Note.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool.
The cat lives with my partner.
All right. Jumping around a little bit, but that's okay. We're rolling with it. So there's jump here to this specific scene. Awesome. And then we'll go to the next one. And you can click on the cards too to move from one scene to the next. Amazing. So it's as easy as that. Add a slash, and then we're using stuff from the stock media library. But if you already have B-roll, images, slides on your desktop, just simply drag them in on top of the text, or even into the canvas, or even on the scene card. What I love is that like there's always 2 or 3 different ways to do the same thing in Descript. Awesome.
Yeah, I personally found this a total game changer for editing. I think it really speeds up the process in terms of adding the different visual layers too. And we can always resize them as well. This sits on top of our video layers. So if we wanted it to be, a smaller little picture within our podcast, we could do that too.
Absolutely. Gosh, time is flying. We haven't talked about templates yet. Do you think that's a good segue, Ashley?
Yeah, I think it's a great segue.
Awesome. So as Ashley mentioned, with templates, it's a really easy way to templatize brand assets, logos, imagery that you might be using on a consistent basis. And if you're getting tired of like rebuilding these all the time, this is a really easy way to streamline it. So up here in the top here, you've got these 4 blocks here. Click on templates. It's broken down into 2 different sections. Ashley, do you want to talk through like what my templates versus the gallery is?
Yeah, so my templates will be all of the templates that you created yourself.
Yeah.
And so here we'll have a look at all of the templates that Harmony has previously created. So those are all of your own, and then the gallery are some pre-filled templates that Descript provides. So an especially useful one here would be multicam. So if you have multiple people speaking in a podcast, there's a couple of other ways that you can view it, maybe directly side by side, or we want the background in the back. So a few different ways there as well.
Awesome. And just so you can see like how easy it is, I'm going to go to a different scene here where you've got us side by side. So if I want to take this and apply, let's say this template here, it's as easy as that. And then I could take this and I'm going to go to the next scene. And I'm going to apply some captions. Awesome. Right. And then I could take this, export it, and publish it to my hosting destination. I'm going to go ahead and actually grab a section here that Ashley had. I'm going to grab my select here, and cool. And I'm going to use another option aside from highlights, using the duplicate to option. So this is really easy to just grab only this section and let's create a new composition. Awesome. And I'm going to go into my templates now, find something that I built in advance of today. But you build your templates a lot like you build a standard project. So you can layer in those elements and then just simply save them. So I'm going to go to the Ashley and Harmony and template and select it. Voila. All right, shepherd's growing up. Cool. So now I can take this, export it. I could even go into the canvas here, change it to square portrait. Maybe I'll do a square, send it to Instagram, and we're off to the races.
The other cool thing about captions as well, Harmony, is that you can import your own fonts as well. So if you're part of a large company and you have brand guidelines that you need to follow, you can upload your font here as well. And then if you have a specific color you need to use, you can always import the hex code in there too.
Absolutely. Oops, go there. And we'll go into custom. You can literally just click on the color, add the hex or the RGB, and you're good to go. And then again, you can save it. So let's say you've built something that you really like. You're like, actually, this looks good. And maybe I want to pull in, go up here to my shapes, and I'll add a progress bar, move this up to the top, and might want to add, let's add one more thing. Let's add a waveform. Cool. And I'll stretch this over. I'm going to send this to the back. Cool. Oops. Send it backward. Cool. And then there we go. Awesome. And then publish it out, and you're good to go. And then you could even duplicate this, create a different version that is maybe a portrait for different platforms that you're publishing to. Awesome. Ashley, I think we've got 10 minutes left to maybe talk about publishing. Does that sound good? And then we'll take some
Certainly.
questions.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sounds great. Okay. So yeah, when we're ready to publish, we can simply come up to the right-hand side, click publish, and we have a couple of options. We'll begin with our export option. So if you just want to simply export this to your computer, you can export it as a video, MP4, choose your quality, choose resolution. You can choose those. We'll see that you can choose to export the current composition that you're on or version of the project that you created, or you can also export by scene. All of the compositions together, you can choose there as well. We can export as just an audio file. So if we wanted to upload it to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we could certainly do that. GIFs, timelines, really useful if you're using other tools like Adobe or tools to do some fine-tune edits or fancy edits as well. We can export as a timeline. Transcript as well. If you want the transcript of the conversation, we could do that. And subtitles as well.
Awesome.
If we come over to, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say this is what I love is that once you're ready to go out of Descript, there's so many different options. So export and all of those files will download locally to your machine. That's one thing to note. So if you're not wanting to do that, you can use publish. And Ashley, you want to walk us through a couple different options here?
Yeah, so we support publishing to YouTube directly and a couple of other hosting providers as well. This will do when you export to YouTube, you can add the description, tags, different category. You'll just have to sign into your account and it'll upload directly there. My personal favorite is publishing to a web link. So if we do that and we click publish, in just a second, a little globe will pop up in the right-hand side there. And what that'll do is it'll open a share page, and that share page will contain the video and the transcript on the right-hand side, which will look pretty similar to this. I don't know if you can pull it up, Harmony,
Oh,
but
yeah, I'm gonna share my whole window here so we can see it. There we go.
perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. And so anyone that you share this link with will be able to view the video. They'll see the text on the right hand side, and they can search, just like in the application itself, and they can even comment on the project as well. So
And
great
one
way to share.
Yeah, I love this option, and the only thing is that if folks are going to leave comments, they do need to have a login. They can do it with a basic membership, which is a free membership, but they will have to log in to leave comments. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, we've got about 10 minutes to spare. One other thing I want to mention to folks too is that you've been seeing us demo everything in the app, but one thing that's coming is a web first version of Descript. So you'll literally be able to open up Descript in your browser and do almost everything that we've showed you today. One of the known limitations is not be able to record, but for now, you'll be able to do all of that editing, all of that exporting in browser, which I think is pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
And actually, like I'm thinking of like how this could potentially affect, teams and how they can more quickly collaborate. Is there anything else with regard to like the web first experience that you'd want to share?
Not on the top of my head. I think, like you mentioned, it's just going to be a lot easier to access the project and quickly edit it without having to open up the application in another
Mm,
window, load it up. You can just, stay signed in on your web browser and very quickly click into the projects there too.
absolutely. I'm super excited for that. Awesome. Well, let's maybe take some questions for anyone that has them. Gonna go over and see what we've got here. So is there I'm seeing oh great. Do you offer discounts for nonprofits? Absolutely. So we've got a great nonprofit slash education plan. It's essentially our creator plan, but with fewer transcription hours. But it's only $5 a month per editor. And yeah, if you go to our help center and search nonprofit, you'll be able to learn more about it and apply for that plan. Great question. Let's see here. I see one. Is it possible to create a video in vertical for social? Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what we were getting to here in the canvas. So if you hover over here in the left top hand corner, you can change this to portrait. Um, and when you do that, you might just need to move your elements around just to make sure it's fitting properly. You can move. We can move ourselves around. We can make it bigger. I could you can move everything around as much as you'd like. There we go. Cool. Let's see here. Go ahead and hide that. What other questions do y'all have? Is there a Teams integration for notifications for Slack? So we do have an integration with Slack. Great question. So the nice thing is that you'll get notified when and if someone comments on a project or one of your share pages gets viewed. Trying to think, Ashley, what am I missing with the Slack integration?
Um, hmm, I think you about covered it.
Okay. But yeah, just go
Yeah.
ahead and add that to your add that in Slack and you'll be good to go. Awesome. Any other questions for us? We've got a few things to sign off with. Oh, perfect. Our free account ran out of transcribing minutes, and we got a notification saying we get one more next month. Does it refresh on the first or the next? Oh, this is a great question. So it's going to refresh based on your billing cycle. So for example, if I sign up for today, which is June 29th, it's going to refresh on July 29th. So it's not first of the month, it's based on when you sign up. A good question. Awesome. Any other questions before we sign off? Oh, there we go. With write mode, can you do the writing for only one speaker? You can do it for multiple speakers. And the cool thing is that if you could write out a full script, and then once you've got a script here, I'll just thank you. I'm going to go into write mode, add a second line for joining us. All I have to do is if I hit exit, I can add my speaker label here. I could do, one of our stock voices. Could also click on the plus button, add a speaker label, and that could be for Ashley or for just for someone different on the interview. Great question. Change that. Put this in, Ruth. There we go. Easy as that.
Another cool thing that we didn't mention that might be helpful here. Looks like another question. If we go back to our previous canvas, we can also add markers, which are especially helpful for creating different sections in your videos. So it's as easy as coming to the spot where you want to add a marker, typing M, and we can just add in another section. So if you have, some content that has multiple sections, different topics, we can easily type that in here. And then when we export it out to our share page, we'll see the different sections in the video as well.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, it's a lot like the sort of the YouTube chapters experience, which I really like.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Where can I learn more about recording features? Absolutely. Great question. So as we saw earlier, just pop this open one more time. So start recording. So this will allow you to either record audio, video, or screen recording directly in. If you have something where you have multiple speakers, for now, I'd probably recommend using something like Squadcast or even Zoom, and then import it into Descript, and then you'll be able to again import, identify your speakers, and that'll be probably the easiest way of doing sort of like multiple speakers. Otherwise, if it's just a single speaker, I would just say record directly in. Ashley, anything else you'd add to that?
No, I think you covered it. Yeah.
And in terms of getting resources, there's a wealth of knowledge. If you go down to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little question mark. You'll be able to access our help center, which has a ton of articles. You can go to our YouTube page. It has a bunch of tutorials, and just search for recording, and there'll be a number of articles that'll pop up related to those features. Amazing. And for those of you that have some extra time, our amazing colleague Marcelo is going to be doing office hours right after this. So we're coming up on 2 p.m. Pacific time, so 3 p.m. Jump in, join office hours, and we would love to have you there. And great, we're seeing the option to join our Discord community as well. Just go ahead and scan that code, and you'll get added to our Discord community. You'll ask questions, and there's different topics based on what you're trying to do. I think there's actually a section specifically for teams. And then again, we do these sessions regularly, so come to one of our other 101 events later this month. And then, of course, let me go ahead and throw up a few more things on screen. We've also got our Wednesday office hours as well at 1 p.m. Pacific. Awesome. And then again, if you need any help, go to help.descript.com for all of those wonderful resources. If you have any feedback for us as well, we'd love to hear it. Just go to feedback.descript.com. And let's see here. What else? Anything else that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Anything else we should mention before we sign off? We good?
I think we're good. Thanks, Harmony, for having me. That was very exciting and super fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you at the next one. And thanks so much for everyone's time today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.